Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Yeah, I'm sorry I haven't blogged anything since last 4th of July. I've been having a lot on my plate lately. Like I've been rehearsing for Music Man with my musical theater village friends. Plus I've been getting things prepared for me to go on a certain week-long vacation to Washington, D.C. in this late August. However, right now I've decided to blog a few more films before I depart on my vacation. So, for today's blog, I'm going to be taking a look at the new sequel created by none other than DisneyToon Studios. Now, where to begin with this one? Well, just last year, on August 2013, DisneyToon Studios released Planes, a spin-off on Pixar's Cars about an entire world where everyone was, well, a certain vehicle. After finally wrapping up with sequels and prequels to films by Walt Disney Animation Studios and giving a life to the Disney fairies, we get a one-note, high-flying adventure of a movie. Dusty Crophopper is a little crop duster plane with a fear of heights and a crazy dream of being a racer. While his friends need convincing, Dusty gets the training he needs from Skipper, who's a veteran fighter, and qualifies for the Wings Around the World race. During the event, Dusty finds competitors who soon learn that there is something special about this underdog, as he is tested by his physical and emotional limits. However, in doing so, Dusty soon finds enemies, and more importantly, friends. Friends who are inspired by his dream. In the face of all obstacles, the winner of this air race will be anyone's guess. And as for what I thought for this film, well, this film was a tad cliched, but I didn't find it bad, though. I mean, it was a little weak, but not as good as some of the other past films by DisneyToon Studios. I'll give it a 69%. The animation was good, the story was okay, and some of the vehicles I actually liked looking at. As for the two Top Gun cameos who appeared in the film, they were great. But you viewers might be asking, after nearly a year, how does the new Planes films compare to the film from 2013? Well, let's find out. Released on July 18th, 2014, the movie is Planes, Fire, and Rescue. So let's get started. When world-famous air racer Dusty learns that his engine is damaged and he may never race again, he must shift gears and is launched into a world of aerial firefighting. Dusty joins forces with veteran fire and rescue helicopter Blade Ranger and his team, who are a bunch of all-terrain vehicles known as the Smoke Jumpers. Together, the fearless team battles a massive wildfire, and Dusty learns what it takes to become a true hero. Anyway, my thoughts on this movie? Well, I see a real improvement over the last film. I mean, it wasn't really great, but it seemed really good. Now it's time to move on to Mustang notes. According to director/co-writer Robert Bobbs Ganaway, the first film was a race film. I wanted to look at a different genre, in this case, an action disaster film. Production on Planes, Fire, and Rescue began 6 months after the start of the previous film. We've been working on this film for nearly 4 years. The filmmakers researched the world of air attack teams and smoke jumpers by working with the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, and sent a crew to the U.S. Forest Services. Annual training exercises for smoke jumpers. Ganaway explained, we actually hooked cameras onto their helmets and had them drop out of the airplane, so we could catch it on film. Nearly a year of research was done before the filmmakers started work on the story. The idea of Dusty become a fire and rescue plane was based on reality. Ganaway stated that during their research, they discovered that in 1955, crop dusters were among the first planes to be used in aerial firefighting. There was a group of crop dusters who worked their planes so they could drop water. Ganaway also noted that in the first film, Dusty is doing things to his engine that should not be done to it. He is stressing the engine out and causing severe damage. It's great that the first film tied this up without intending to. We just built on it, and the results were remarkable. Producer Pharrell Barron stated, "I think we're all experienced some kind of loss, and at some point in our lives. An end of an era, a lost love, a failed career. We've all had to recalibrate. In Planes, Fire and Rescue, Dusty can't go back to being a crop duster. He left that behind. He has to move forward." Even though that kind of stuff I mentioned earlier is kind of interesting about certain planes, what I think about the rest of the film, well, the animation is awesome. I mean, it's DisneyToon Studios after all. And if you guys have seen my Legends of Oz blog before, then you'll know the studio who helped with the CG was Prentice Studios. I especially love how Piston Peak National Park looks in this film. I mean, it sort of kind of makes it look like Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, and Yosemite here in California. But some parts of it also make me think of, well, O'Neill Park in Trico Canyon, where I used to work back in the summer of 2009. And the lodge in the film almost looks like Timberline Lodge from The Shining. Plus, the firefighting scenes are really intense. Now it's time for voices. Now I'll only be talking about the flying characters who are interesting. To me, that is. Sorry, no car characters in this vlog, though. Now, our main character, Dusty Crophopper, is voiced by Dan Cook. And I feel like he's inspired by an air tractor AT-502, a Cessna, and the PZL Mielec M18 Dromata. Anyway, like in the first film, Dusty has a problem in this one. I mean, you already know that he had a problem with heights in the first film, but in this one, he has like problem with his gearbox or something like that. Like his friend Dottie warns him that he can't can't push it too far, otherwise he'll crash. But still, Dusty never gives up when it involves firefighting in order to make his hometown open again. Next up is Little Dipper, who is actually voiced by Julian Bowen from Modern Family. She's a former cargo hauler from Alaska and an avid racing fan and with a major crush on Dusty. She's like head over wheels with excitement when the new seat shows up at Piston Peak. She's skilled at swimming in lakes and scooping up more than 1,600 gallons of water and dousing angry fires. She's modeled after a super scooper, but however about the character, she creeps me out at times. Next we have Windlifter, voiced by Native American actor Wes Studi from Dances with Wolves. Windlifter is a heavy lift helicopter who can hoist dozens of trees or a huge tank of fire retardant. The American Indian's wisdom is vast, and he's a chock full of fire folklore. In his connection to nature, it allows him to sense fires before they're even spotted. The former lumberjack became a firefighter to help others, and no mission is too big for Windlifter. He's modeled after a Sikorsky S-64 Sky Crane. Next we have Cabby, who is voiced by Dale Dye, who you may know from Invaders from Mars and Mission Impossible. Cabby is an ex-military transport plane who used to drop airborne utility vehicles behind enemy lines in Korea. And now he drops the smoke jumpers at Piston Peak. It's a lot like combat, but nobody's shooting at him. With a payload of 10,000 pounds of maximum takeoff weight and of 74,000 pounds, Cabby can carry the smoke jumpers up to 2,000 miles away. But the character who I thought was the best in the entire film was Blade Ranger, voiced by the great Ed Harris. Who you guys might recognize from films like Apollo 13 and National Treasure Book of Secrets. Now, Blade is a veteran fire and rescue helicopter. He heads up the Piston Peak Air Attack Team. He's haunted by a storied past, and he's a tough and demanding air boss with a wider sense of humor. He's not exactly enthusiastic about his new trainee Dusty, though, but Blade is a pro and does everything he can to bring the new seat up to speed. Now it's time for my final words of this film. Above all, Planes Fire and Rescue is a real improvement over the first Planes film. The animation is spot on, the characters are great, and the firefighting scenes are really intense. If you're a plane fan like me, then by all means give this film a watch. You will not be disappointed. I'll have to give this film a rating of 90%. Well, that's all for today, everybody. Be sure to join me for my next blog, where I take a look at a little homemade film, which happens to be, well, a homemade sci-fi film. See you later, everyone. Mustang Power!